Kellen Moore's interview with Peter Schrager on Super Bowl opening night. Ladies and gentlemen, it has started. Super Bowl Media Week has begun, and we're going to hear every day. We're going to hear interviews and clips and whatever from players and coaches. For the Saints, none more important than Kellen Moore. So we're going to hear from Kellen Moore in his own words. We're going to look at a few different clips of that I'm sure you'll see on social media. So let's go ahead and get into it. Kellen Moore, who I love like a brother. All right, potentially, hopefully, the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints right now, no doubt about it, the favorite or the most expected name to be linked to the head coaching job. So let's hear what Kellen's got to say. Kellen's in an interesting spot. Obviously, he's focused on the Super Bowl. He's not signed anything. He's not the head coach. He can't really talk about that. But he's in the building of the team that he may coach. So it's going to be a lot of questions for him all week long. It'll be interesting to see how he manages that.
Kellen Moore, Julian Edelman, just talking about your run offense. 7 rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. Kind of set the tone. Kellen, came into this thing, everyone knew your passing prowess. The run game for this Eagles as the offensive coordinator. How did you make this?
Yeah, real quick. A lot of people, I didn't realize this, but a lot of people weren't familiar or aren't familiar with Kellen Moore as far as like outside of Philadelphia. Remember, he had tremendous success in Dallas, and that was a very different style of offense. Yes, he had Ezekiel Elliott, but after his first year, 2019 as OC, Zeke kind of started going downhill. I believe he barely had 1,000 yards after that first year. So he had a very different approach, a pass-happy, throw on early downs, and back then, he was kind of maligned for it. He was kind of criticized for being relatively pass-happy, for throwing on 3rd and short or whatever, which now is kind of commonplace. Then he goes to Philadelphia after the Brandon Staley situation in Los Angeles. He goes to Philly, totally different situation, right? Like Philly is a run-dominant team, and it shows you that he can win in multiple ways. It shows you that he is not a linear offensive coordinator where it's not just one way and one way only. It seems like he can play to his strengths, and that's something. And that adaptability is absolutely what you want.
Team so dominant in that facet of the game.
Yeah, we just have an incredible group and a really special group that really rallies around each other. Certainly Saquon and Jalen, what they can do in the run game has been incredible. Our offensive line and then our perimeter with the blocking outside. That's where those 60-yard touchdowns come. Is when AJ and Smitty and all those guys make those big time blocks downfield. And so we got a really special group that builds it all together.
I love your story. So you were a player, Cowboys, Lions, you go and you're the offensive coordinator with Dak. Then you were the offensive coordinator with Justin Herbert. Then you get Jalen Hurts here in Philly. This guy's different. What separates him from some of the other quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, it's been just such an awesome experience to team up with Jalen and the leader that he is, the player that he is.
I mean, what a speaker. I mean, what an orator. I'm just getting fired up. I'm getting chills just listening to him talk. I mean, what a guy. Can he run for president? Can he be the mayor of New Orleans? I mean, what's going on here? I feel like I'm listening to I'm watching 300 or something. I'm getting motivated.
His temperament is really, really special. I mean, no matter what the situation is, he's the same guy, and he handles every situation in a really special way. And obviously, we see the player that he is, physically. And so, it's been really fun to team up.
There's a moment in the NFC Championship game. You guys are putting 55 on the board, and Will Shipley, the rookie, scores a rushing touchdown. First rushing touchdown of his career, gets in there, and there's Saquon darting in from the sidelines to lift him up and celebrate with him. You saw that moment. What does that moment say about this team?
That means everything to our team, and that shows who Saquon is as a person. That the most excited he was all day was when Will scored that touchdown, and our whole team felt the same way.
Real quick, so Kellen, obviously super successful college career, 50-3 as a starter at Boise State. One of the best college quarterbacks ever, or most successful college quarterbacks ever. Goes to the NFL, bounces around. He goes from being a player in Dallas to the very next year, he's on the coaching staff. So Kellen didn't have this huge gap you see a lot of the times where a player will go to college, or they'll be like a quality control coach, or they'll be an assistant, like way down the totem pole. He immediately got into the offensive room. So it shows you it shows you like how his football acumen and his football IQ has got to be just absolutely off the charts if he's able to do that.
Did you know what you were getting when you signed on to be the offensive coordinator, and then here they are, free agent acquisition, Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, credit to Howie and Jeffrey to make that move, and Saquon's a special player. It's been really special.
Last question: the Superdome, the stadium's pretty cool. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I like it.
Good.
Oh, Schrager trying to get cute. Trying to get cute with the Superdome. Shout out Schrager though for helping out. I'm glad you dropped that question in there. Pretty cool place to play, pretty cool place to be. From a human element, I've mentioned this before. Kellen Moore is going to spend a tremendous amount of time in that stadium, at the facilities, around the city, and it's also going to be while the city stadium facilities are at their best. Okay, this is the most glammed up the Superdome will be. This is the most glammed up New Orleans will be. I can go ahead and tell you from walking up and down Canal Street, there are sidewalks where there weren't previously sidewalks. All right, they're doing everything they can to make this city look good. So the fact that Kellen is having these experiences in the Superdome, I think is important. And again, from a human element, you can't discount that. You can't discount him being at the Super Bowl, walking on the field, being in the locker room, utilizing the equipment, utilizing the training facilities, like being shuttled around, eating the food, experiencing the music, hearing, like all that stuff matters. And if he has a good enough
Kellen Moore
time, that is a huge positive. Now we're going to watch some more clips here. That was from Schrags. So let's go ahead. NewOrleans.football has an interview with Kellen. So make sure you go to the website to see the entire interview. All right, question number 1. What qualities he feels a coach needs?
Yeah, obviously, I think it's a leadership role. You got to lead the group. You got to be an expert in some capacity, to what you're teaching, and you got to be able to communicate at a really high level.
True, no doubt about it. Communication, leadership, be that expert. Obviously, if he was the head coach, he would be the expert in the offensive side of things. Let's go to the next question. Kellen Moore talks the quarterback position and the importance of situational football, something I love talking about.
Yeah, I think the quarterback position, there's just so many things that go into it. Obviously, there's a leadership role that is hugely important to our football team. We're fortunate to have Jalen, and he certainly aces that. There's a lot of different ways of playing quarterback, and I think it's really, really important that, the system built around those guys allows them to perform at their best.
Love that, right? Love the idea of building the system around whoever the quarterback is. Like, obviously, Peyton Manning is not going to play quarterback the same way as Jalen Hurts.
I think situational football is really critical for those guys. For example, we've ran the ball certainly more than a lot of teams this year, but there's certain situations where we have to throw the football. They know we have to throw the football, and we're going to throw it. And Jalen's done an incredible job in those situations. Yeah.
All right, next question. Next question is from Jeff Nowak. Saints candidate Kellen Moore on what traits make a good head coach. And yes, he'd still be calling plays. So I think this is some of the answer we previously heard, but then they go into the play calling.
Yeah, obviously, I think it's a leadership role. You got to lead the group. You got to be an expert in some capacity, to what you're teaching, and you got to be able to communicate at a really high level.
All right, so he asked, I know you couldn't hear that because it was a little faded out. Shouts Wiz Khalifa, but he asked, would you still be calling plays? Would you still want to be a play caller?
Certainly, I would view it that way. Yeah, I'd love to call plays. Certainly, it's a passion of mine. It's something that has gotten me to this place, and so certainly, you'd hate to stop doing what you love. And
yeah, the Carrot Top paradox. I talk about this all the time. Where Carrot Top, the comedian, he got really famous by doing prop comedy. He gets to the movies. He gets big enough to go to the movies. They take away his props. His movies bomb, and whatever. So, yeah, Kellen kind of hits at that. Like, look, what got me here was my ability to call plays. What got me here was my acumen as a offensive coordinator. So why, when I become a head coach, would I stop calling plays? Shout out Mike McCarthy, who decided that he would do that. So that I never ever doubted that if Kellen took the job, that he was, that he wouldn't call plays. Like, that was never even in my mind. So not surprised at his answer. If he became the head coach, it is, it is kind of a two bird, one stone situation where you do shore up your offensive identity. The positive to having an offensive head coach is that you don't have to worry about the turnover of your offensive identity. The Buccaneers are a good example of that. The Buccaneers have had to deal with turnover with Canales and then Liam Cohen. So they're on to their third play caller, their third offensive identity, their third offensive culture builder in 3 years. That is very difficult. It's very difficult for players to kind of get grounded and to be consistent when that's happening, right? Even just vocally, even just hearing plays from a different voice every single year, different cadence, different tempo, different personality, whatever, like that matters, right? So that is a huge bonus for Kellen being the head coach, is that just like with Sean Payton, you know what you're getting offensively for an extended period of time.
As you go through this journey. Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little giggle box. I mean, Kellen's just a little giggle box. He's just happy to be here. What a guy, right? So it's nice to hear from Kellen. We're obviously going to be talking a lot in hypotheticals when it comes to Kellen and assuming these are not, these interviews are not telling us much as far as the Saints search, but it is nice to hear his thoughts on the qualities that he wants to be or he believes that you need to be a head coach. So early access look, ladies and gentlemen, at hopefully the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. All right, get on down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.